appreciate everybody coming here tonight. I really do. I can't tell you what it means to me. The writing a book, and I'm in an area of uncharted waters for me with all the experiences that I've had in my life. But I've been asked so many times, why did I put this together? Why did I write a book? Why did I take so much time at this point in my life to write this book? The information that went into the book started 20 years ago. In 1991, my county supervisor representing this district, Judy Andreen, passed away. Judy was a very good friend. At that time, I was aware that Fresno County was the 6th largest county in the state of California. Yet, we were number 1 in juvenile crime rate. We were number 1 in juvenile murder rate. We were number 1 in car thefts and burglaries committed by juveniles. And the saddest part about all this, we were arresting these young teenagers. There were stories where a teenager was arrested for stealing a car, was brought to juvenile hall, released from juvenile hall because there was no room. The kid stole the car and went home. That was the sad part about it. And yet we are trying to hold our young people accountable, and we can't imagine why the juvenile crime rates continue to grow. So what are we doing? And I get a little bit perturbed when I hear some politicians talking about the problem is family values. Well, we all agree with that. We all agree that it would be best to have 2 loving parents raising every child. But the reality is, that's not the reality. The reality is, you can't, if a child is born into a family and there isn't 2 loving parents, you can't go to the store and buy a pound of family values. You can't go to the doctor and get a shot of family values. Somebody else has to pick up and has to help. Everybody, anybody, can be a good gardener to a kid. If you see a kid that needs help, you see somebody going wrong, it doesn't take a lot sometimes. There's already a lot of you out there that are working with kids that are already good gardeners in kids' lives. Why did I write this book? In 1993, and I became chairman of the board, a young 4-year-old girl by the name of Roseanne Palumbo was under the care of Child Protective Services for Fresno County. Somebody made a decision that sent that child back to her biological mother. That child was beaten so bad that the coroner killed, the mother killed her, the child. The coroner, Dave Haddon, still coroner, when he called me on the phone, he was in tears. He said, I see death every day. I've never seen anything as bad as this. Confidentiality, we could not find out. What we did find out, however, in our investigation, is that about 5 children a year were dying after they had been in the care of Child Protective Services. I went to the board right around that time, and I asked the board for permission to hold public hearings on Child Protective Services. And the board authorized myself as the chair and Sharon Levy to conduct public hearings on Child Protective Services. There were 3 days of public hearings. About 80 people came in and testified. Now, I can't tell you all the stories of the people that testified, but I remember one that I will never forget. There was a young girl that came up, and she introduced herself and said, I'm 17 years old. I will soon be 18. I've been in the foster care system all of my life. And I'm afraid that I'm going to turn out to be like all my friends who are either on drugs, addicted to drugs, have already died of drug overdose, or having babies for the welfare checks. I don't want to be like that. And I said to her, I said, well, you know, young people, when they turn 18 and become adults, there is some anxiety about what the future holds. She said, you don't understand. I don't have anybody to turn to. $300 million Fresno County is spending on the foster care system, and we're turning out kids with no hope for the future. What are we doing? So we developed the high road, low road. And what this book does, and the reason it was so important to me, is because you know, Jack, you're right. I got to work fast. 85 years old. I don't know what the good Lord has for me, but I wanted to get this and share this information with any of you in the world if it's helpful, if they can use this, because what the book does is identify the barriers of what keeps kids on the low road. The low road kid will end up as dependent on the system when they become 18, raising a child who is dependent on the system. The cycle continues. The high road child doesn't, because you're born into a high road family, does not necessarily mean you will always stay on the high road. The destiny of a newborn is determined before conception in many cases. Because if you are born into a family where the mother is 15 or 16 years old, doesn't have any money, doesn't have a job, there's no father in the house, that child has about an 80 to 90% chance of living in poverty their entire life, unless some good gardener steps up and introduces a life-changing experience for that child.